So we're just going to go through how we would approach this game from fairly far out. Johnny Sexton was actually speaking today, saying that Leinster were sort of prepared for their big Champions Cup games a few weeks in advance, like showing them different pictures and that kind of thing. But we'll start with sort of 18 days beforehand as an example. Kendo, do you sort of a prior knowledge on Wales? I know Gatland's had a previous worry about you having some prior knowledge before. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, when we worked together at London Irish, Wales, we were a training base for the World Cup, and Wales were training there. And I just went to just have a little look at the training, and I took out my phone to message my wife about dinner. And then suddenly I got 3 security guards on me at my place of work, took my phone off me, went through the pictures that I'd supposedly taken, even though it was literally one call to my wife. And because Gatland knew I'd played with Matt Giteau, and they were playing Australia that week. And he thought I was filming them to show Matt. So that was my prior knowledge of the Wales lineout that I wasn't actually looking at. But yeah, look, in terms of 18 days out, it depends what you've got before it. And normally you'd work on a week cycle, and you'd start the week before looking at the opposition. So come the Monday morning, you're completely ready to go on them. So again, in a World Cup, it might be slightly different. I'm sure they've done loads of prep going into the tournament on everyone that they were going to play. In the Premiership, for example, it would be very much week to week, and you maybe start 10 days out of the game, depending on how busy you've been. But if it is week to week, 10, 11 days out, you'd start looking at them, sort of work on everyone a week in advance. And as I say, maybe on Sunday, so you can send some clips around to the line-out callers to get some debate going for that Monday morning meeting, so you can really hit the ground running for that training week.
Nice. Is that similar for you, Dewald?
Yeah, no, obviously, I think 18 days out, there's a lot of gathering of information and videos and angles and the different views that you've got, and that's more on the video analyst side or that cell, where they're going to be looking to get all the games that we need, that the coaches have requested, and obviously all the angles, close view, wide view, behind the post, just to make sure we've got all of that, and then slowly but surely collating and building the timelines for the coaching staff. So that 18 days out, I think that's a lot of work still, a little bit in the analysis department before we even take it closer. I agree with Nick. I would start on the Wednesday, Thursday of the week before we actually play our opposition, with actually coding and analysing my following opposition, because normally on the Friday we would sit down with the coaching staff, either as we arrive at the hotel on travel days or after the captain's run, on what we've already seen that we would like to use for the following week. So we try and get that 8-day, 10-day advantage there as a coaching staff. Yeah.
Nice. Kenda, obviously you were a director of Rugby World at London Irish. Would you see, like, when you had Dodge and Deck looking beforehand, they probably would have started their video a few days before you would have, or would that be?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, again, it does sort of depend on the week to week, but average Saturday to Saturday, yeah, on Dewald's point there, it would be on your day off on a Wednesday, for example. That's when you'd really get stuck into the opposition and do a bit, and then maybe a bit Thursday after training. Friday, if it was just the non-squad stuff, then you'd do a lot then, and then meet the other coaches on it as well. So yeah, you try and front load the work there, so you are ready for that coaches meeting on the Friday, and then you're an expert come talking to the players about it.
Yeah, lovely. Another one on prior knowledge, not necessarily on opposition analysis. You obviously had a good relation with Bob Casey, Big Bob, going through your time at Irish, firstly, obviously as a player, then secondly at a corporate level. And how important is that sort of shared knowledge between the second row partners in defending a line-out?
Yeah, look, in line-out defence, I think it's crucial, and just any team sport, really, any of those key relationships with centres, with halfbacks. For me, it's the same with the locks. The two of us probably played about 230 games together. So it does really help. He knows how much space I can cover. I know how much space he can cover behind. In short lineouts, we know that we're not going to fall for this certain dummy. He knows that if I'm saying something, it might just be to a bit of kidology with the opposition, and he knows actually I'm going to lift him up. So yeah, all those little aspects of line out time are crucial, and that's why now, you know, if you rotate your squad too much, or if you don't have those key partnerships, it definitely hinders your performance there.
Great. And how would that compare to, say, when you moved to Toulon and then back to Harlequins afterwards?
Yeah, look, I didn't have those relationships, so you know, you work with a Bakkies Botha or whoever it was at Quins, and you know, you're just lacking all of that time in the saddle together, all of that knowledge about what you're going to do and when, and trust. You know 5 meters out, you know, the way that we're going to defend the maul, and or as I say, all that small talk. It does take time to build up, and you know, you need to put a lot of effort into when you do arrive at a new club to make sure you can get up to speed quickly with those little intangible things.
Yeah. Dewald, when you made the move from South Africa to France, like Nick, you were learning new language as well as fitting into a new lineout. How did you find that at that stage?
I think in the beginning, that's your biggest challenge when you come across to France. Once you get over a little bit, firstly, the language barrier. There's obviously, secondly, the cultural barrier with regards to the way they see rugby and maybe whatever sector you're in. I know they like to contest here in France in lineout, so you have to get used to that and the importance of mauling and set piece and the rest. So, yeah, I totally agree with Nick in the sense of, I think it's like a relationship with your wife. Over time, you build trust. You start doing things without finishing each other's sentences. You know what you she does something, you want to know what's going to be the next step, and that takes time to build. It takes some failures, it takes some strong discussions and that, but in the end you're going to be a better forward. So it takes time, it takes repetition, it takes success, it takes failure. So it's something that doesn't happen overnight, but it is essential for everybody. I had a similar relationship with a guy in South Africa before coming to France. We would have the biggest fights at training that day because we weren't seeing the things the same way. But that night we'd be texting and calling each other, "Sorry, man." But we actually were saying the same thing. But you know, just those type of relationships that are brilliant times actually for you as a player, and it's great as a coach when you can actually use those that type of experience. I mean, 200 games together for Nick and Casey, that's huge. You can't buy that type of experience.
Lovely. We move on to the stats then. You guys can talk about what you think's important there.
Yeah, go for it.
Lovely.